Welcome to Story Orbit N. And let me start with a question for you. Have you ever started talking about your weekend and suddenly forgotten every verb you know in English?
That is painfully relatable, and it always happens at the worst moment. Like when you want to sound interesting, but all you can say is, I did things, and then silence.
Exactly, and weekends are supposed to be fun stories, not language stress tests. So today we are going to fix that together.
Yes, today we are talking about how to talk about your weekend in English in a natural, relaxed way, like you are chatting with a friend and not taking an exam.
And we will use real weekend examples because real life is messy and fun and sometimes boring too.
Which is perfect for learning English, because you need language for all of it, not just the exciting parts.
So, Tom, let me warm you up with the classic question. What did you do this weekend?
Oh, wow, pressure already. Let me think. This weekend, I went to a football match with my cousin and his kids, and honestly, it was louder than I expected.
See, that already sounds good, and you did something very common, so listeners can totally copy that structure.
Yes, I use I went to, which is super useful because you can say I went to a football match, I went to the cinema, I went to a concert.
And notice how natural that is. You do not need fancy words to sound fluent, you just need clear verbs.
Exactly. And you can add who you went with. Like I went with my cousin, or I went with my family.
Let me jump in here for learners. When Tom said with my cousin and his kids, that with is doing a lot of work.
Yes, with is your best friend for weekends.
You can say with friends, with my partner, with my parents, and suddenly your story feels complete.
And you do not need to explain everything. People can imagine the rest.
Actually, this is a really important point for learners because many people think they need to tell the full story of the weekend, minute by minute.
Yes, like a police report, and that can make you nervous and tired while speaking.
Exactly. But in real conversations, people usually share highlights, not everything. So instead of saying every detail, you can choose one moment and talk about that.
For example, instead of explaining your whole Saturday, you can say, Saturday was busy, but Sunday was relaxed. That already gives a clear picture without stress.
And notice the contrast there busy and relaxed. Very simple adjectives, very effective.
Yes, weekends are perfect for practicing contrast. Like, on Saturday I worked, but on Sunday I rested. That word, but, is doing a lot of work. It connects ideas and shows difference, which makes your English sound more natural.
And if you forget everything else, I worked, but I enjoyed it, is a great sentence.
Or, I was tired, but it was fun, which people say all the time.
Also, learners sometimes ask, how long should my answer be? And the answer is, as long as the other person is interested. If they ask more questions, keep going.
If they say nice, you can stop. That is real conversation, not a presentation. And that should reduce a lot of pressure for learners listening right now.
Totally. Now let me tell you about my weekend. Because it was very Jessica style.
I am ready, and I already suspect dogs are involved.
Of course, on Saturday morning, I went to the forest to walk my dogs, and it was one of those slow, quiet mornings.
That sounds peaceful, and I like how you said, one of those? That is very natural English.
Yes, one of those is great when you want to describe a feeling without too many details.
Like, one of those days when you just want to stay in bed.
Exactly. And learners, if you hear that phrase, it usually means the speaker expects you to understand the mood.
And Jessica also used to walk my dogs, not walk with my dogs, which is a common mistake.
Yes. In English, we usually say walk the dog or walk the dogs, not walk with.
Although if you say, I walk with my dog, people will understand you, so do not panic.
Clarity over perfection. Always.
So after the forest, what happened? Did you go full productive mode or chill mode?
Definitely chill mode. I went home, had lunch, and then I watched a movie in the afternoon.
See, that is another great structure. I watched a movie, simple past, very clear.
And you can change it too. I watched a series, I watched a documentary, whatever fits your weekend.
Let me ask you something, Jessica. When someone asks, how was your weekend? Do you feel pressure to say something exciting?
Oh, yes, totally. And that is something learners worry about too. But the truth is, boring weekends are normal.
Yes, and English has perfect phrases for that, like, it was pretty relaxed, or it was quiet.
Or I did not do much, I just stayed at home, which is a sentence learners should memorize.
And just here is important because it makes the sentence softer and more natural.
Exactly, I just stayed at home. Sounds relaxed, not negative.
Now, let me give another weekend example because not all weekends are relaxing.
Oh, here comes the busy one.
On Sunday, I had to work in the morning, so I did not have much free time.
That is such a real sentence, and I had to work is very useful.
Yes, had to means it was necessary, not optional.
You can say, I had to study, I had to help my parents, I had to work.
And if you want to sound more conversational, you can add unfortunately or sadly, but it is optional.
Like, I had to work, unfortunately, but it is okay.
Exactly. Now let me ask our listeners something. What did you do last weekend? Try to think of one simple sentence in your head right now.
And do not translate from your language, just use a basic verb you know. And if you are listening and thinking, my weekend was boring, that is totally fine.
Boring weekends still have English inside them.
Yes, you can say, I cleaned the house, which is very real adult English.
Or I did laundry, which nobody loves but everybody understands.
And those verbs, cleaned, did, cooked, are super common and useful. You are more likely to use those than advanced vocabulary. For example, I cooked at home and watched YouTube.
That sentence describes half of the world on Sunday night.
And notice you do not need to say what you cooked.
Yes, details are optional. Clarity is not.
Also, many learners mix past and present when talking about weekends. So remember, if the weekend is finished, use past simple. I work is now, but I worked is last weekend.
A small sound, but a big difference. And if you make a mistake, just continue. Fluency is movement, not perfection.
Tom, you mentioned a football match. Can you describe it a bit more so learners can see how to add details?
Sure, I can say the match was really exciting, but the kids were more interested in snacks than football.
That is a great example of adding a comment.
Yes, comments make your story human, not robotic.
And you used were more interested in, which is a super common structure. Like I was more interested in sleeping than going out. Or she is more interested in music than sports.
You see, weekends give you so many chances to practice comparisons.
Now, let us talk about another classic weekend activity, going to the cinema.
Yes, because everyone goes to the cinema at least once in their life.
So a simple sentence would be, I went to the cinema on Saturday night, and you can add with friends or with my partner, or even alone, which is totally fine and very modern.
Yes, I went to the cinema alone is a full, correct, confident sentence.
And if you want to react to the movie, you can say, it was great, it was okay, or I did not like it.
You do not need to explain the entire plot, especially if nobody asks.
So true. Now, another common weekend? Shopping.
Ah, yes, the dangerous one for your wallet.
You can say, I went shopping at the mall, or I went to the mall with my friends, and if you want to keep it short, I did some shopping. Works perfectly.
That phrase did some is very useful, like I did some work. I did some studying.
It sounds natural and not too specific.
Now, let us talk about studying on the weekend, because learners do that a lot.
Yes, especially English learners listening to this podcast.
You could say, I studied on Saturday afternoon, or I spent the weekend studying.
And spent the weekend is a really nice expression.
Yes, I spent the weekend with my family, or I spent the weekend at home.
It focuses on the experience, not just the activity.
Now, Jessica, let me challenge you. Imagine someone says, my weekend was very funny. Is that correct?
Ah, good one. This is important. In English, we usually say fun, not funny.
Yes, funny is more about something that makes you laugh.
So, the movie was funny, but the weekend was fun.
Exactly. And if learners remember this, they avoid a very common mistake.
Now let us talk about concerts because they are emotional weekends.
Yes, and great for storytelling. A simple sentence is, I went to a concert on Friday night, and you can add, it was amazing, or it was too crowded.
Or, I was tired the next day, which is very honest.
Honesty makes better English stories.
Tom, do you ever say I stayed in instead of I stayed at home?
Yes, all the time. I stayed in means you did not go out.
That is a great informal expression. You can say, I stayed in and watched TV. And it sounds very natural, very native.
Now let us talk about linking ideas, because weekends are rarely just one activity.
Yes, we do many things, even on lazy weekends.
You can use and then, like I had lunch, and then I met some friends.
Or after that, like after that, I went home. These connectors help your story flow, and they are simple, no grammar pain.
Now listeners, quick challenge for you. Try to say 3 things you did last weekend using and then. Even in your head, practice matters.
Now, before we finish, let us talk about reactions, because weekends are social topics.
Yes, people respond to your weekend story.
If someone says, I went to the forest, you can say, that sounds nice, or that sounds relaxing, or even, I wish I could do that.
Reactions make conversations alive, and they are easy to learn and reuse.
And reactions are also a great way to keep the conversation going when you do not know what to say next.
Yes, instead of panicking, you can react and buy time.
Like saying, oh, really? Or, that is interesting. Those small phrases are powerful tools, and they are perfect for learners because they reduce pressure.
You do not always need to produce long sentences. Sometimes reacting is enough, and reactions show you are listening, which people appreciate.
For example, if someone says, I went shopping all day, you can say, that sounds exhausting.
Or, did you enjoy it? Which moves the conversation forward.
Questions are also reactions.
And weekends are one of the safest topics to practice this. So listeners, next time someone asks about your weekend, relax. You already have the English you need.
All right, Tom, I think we can wrap it up there because we just gave everyone a full toolbox for weekend talk.
Yes, and the best part is, it is not a fancy toolbox. It is everyday English that you can use immediately.
So let us do a quick recap of the expressions we covered in a way you can actually remember.
First, we practiced the basic weekend starters like I went to and I went with, so you can say I went to the cinema or I went with my family.
Then we talked about picking highlights instead of telling every detail, and we used contrast, like Saturday was busy, but Sunday was relaxed.
Yes, and that little word but helps your story sound natural, like I was tired, but it was fun.
We also used mood phrases like what of those, as in one of those slow mornings, to describe a feeling without over-explaining.
And we corrected a super common mistake, fun versus funny, because the weekend was fun is different from the movie was funny.
We practiced useful weekend reality verbs too, like I cleaned the house and I did laundry, because real English is not always concerts and holidays.
And we reminded you about the past simple for finished weekends, like I worked, instead of I work.
We also added ways to connect your weekend actions using and then and after that, so your story flows easily.
Plus, we used a comparison structure, more interested in, like the kids were more interested in snacks than football.
And finally, we talked about reactions that keep conversations alive, like that sounds nice, that sounds exhausting, oh really? And did you enjoy it?
Those reactions are perfect when you need a second to think, because you are still participating, not freezing.
Now, listeners, here is your mini challenge for the comments. Write 2 sentences about your last weekend using at least one connector like and then or after that.
You can even steal ideas from other learners. That is how language grows.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Story Orbit N.
See you next time, and remember, your weekend story does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be clear and real. Bye!